I welcome change.
Positive attitude is everything when it comes to change.
Being a change agent is essential. We have to be the first ones to understand change and embrace the change and help everyone around us embrace the change as well.
Change impacts the organization, and that is something new for me.
The team really needs to understand why the change is necessary, and they also need to feel some ownership of it in order for the change to be effective.
The most important thing that a leader can do while leading through change is to be transparent. What is success look like after this change takes place? What can your team expect from this change?
The only thing in life that is constant is change. And those that take risk, calculate risk, are the ones who could do better.
People who are more open and communicative by nature will be adapting to change more easily.
We have to encourage people to ask for help.
It involves a lot of active listening, involve open-ending questions, not talking much about yourself.
They know that you can completely support them. They need to take risk, and it's okay to fail.
Be willing to take that risk because the risk is sometimes really worth the reward.
7 workers at a Florida bar and a group of 16 friends who were out for a night of fun all tested positive for coronavirus. Erica Crisp was one of them. She's been sick for a week, but she's here along with 2 of those friends, Kat Layton and Dara. Is it sweet or sweat?
It's sweat.
Can't go out with friends? No more shopping after work? Can't go to the beach during weekends? And lastly, is it goodbye travel goals this year? Sadly, we're facing down a global pandemic and some places are on lockdown. Crisis heightens fear and anxiety. And you're suddenly either out of work or working from home. But that's okay, because right now, you have to think and figure out what is actually important to you. Octavia Butler, a science fiction novelist, said that the only lasting truth is change. The faster we let go of expectations of normal, the faster we adapt. In today's increasingly unstable world, more and more organizations are being pushed to change. By any objective measure, the amount of significant change in organizations has grown tremendously over the past 2 decades. So, if your organization needs to change in fundamental ways, how can you beat the odds and be successful? The starting point is to understand why most transformation efforts fail. According to John P. Cotter in his book, Leading Change, management made a lot of errors, but the most common of which are this. Error number 1, allowing too much complacency. Are you spending too much time in your comfort zone? Complacency is man's biggest weakness. It creeps up on us when we least expect it. Error number 2, failing to create a sufficiently powerful guiding coalition. Sometimes, senior leaders make the mistake of believing that their superior power in an organization is all that it takes to make change happen. But in reality, power in every organization is distributed among all of its stakeholders. Error number 3, underestimating the power of vision. Helen Keller said, "The only thing worse than being blind is having sight but no vision at all." Without an appropriate vision, a transformation effort can easily dissolve into a list of confusing, incompatible, and time-consuming projects that go in the wrong direction or nowhere at all. Error number 4, under-communicating the vision by a factor of 10 or 100 or even 1,000. Leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. Major change is usually impossible unless most employees are willing to help, often to the point of making short-term sacrifices. But people will not make sacrifices, even if they are unhappy with the status quo, unless they think the potential benefits of change are attractive and believe that a transformation is possible. Without credible communication, and a lot of it, employees' hearts and minds are never captured. Error number 5, permitting obstacles to block the new vision. Remember what Frank A. Clark said, "If you find a path with no obstacles, it probably doesn't lead anywhere." Occasionally, the roadblocks are only in people's heads, and the challenge is to convince them that no external barriers exist. But in many cases, the blockers are very real. Error number 6, failing to create short-term wins. Little wins create momentum. Consistency can turn into lasting change. Real transformation takes time. Complex efforts to change strategies or restructure businesses risk losing momentum if there are no short-term goals to meet and celebrate. Without short-term wins, too many employees give up or actively join the resistance. Error number 7, declaring victory too soon. Celebrate success, but don't declare victory too soon. After a few years of hard work, people can be tempted to declare victory in a major change effort with the first major performance improvement. Remember, success is not final, failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Error number 8, neglecting to anchor changes firmly in the corporate culture. You can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. Change sticks only when it becomes the way we do things around here. It seeps into the very bloodstream of the work unit or corporate body. Until new behaviors are rooted in social norms and shared values, they are always subject to degradation as soon as the pressures associated with a change effort are removed. None of these change errors would be that costly in a slower moving and less competitive world. Handling new initiatives quickly is not an essential component of success in stable or cartel-like environments. The problem for us today is that stability is no longer the norm, and most experts agree that over the next few decades, the business environment will become only more volatile. Making any of the 8 errors common to transformation efforts can have serious consequences. In slowing down the new initiatives, creating unnecessary resistance, frustrating employees endlessly, and sometimes completely stifling needed change. Any of these errors could cause an organization to fail to offer the products or services people want and prices they can afford. Budgets are then squeezed, people are laid off, and those who remain are put under great stress. The impact on families and communities can be devastating. These errors are not inevitable. With awareness and skill, they can be avoided or at least greatly mitigated. The key lies in understanding why organizations needed change. It is allowing fear to stop you from growing. evolving, and progressing. John Cutter, a Harvard Business School professor and a renowned change expert, in his book Leading Change, used the 8-step model of change, which he developed during observations of countless leaders and organizations as they were trying to transform or execute their strategies. He identified and extracted the success factors and combined them into a methodology, the award-winning 8-step process for leading change.
Gladys, I just met with the boss and we need to spring into action with that new production process. We need to set up a presentation to show our numbers are down. I'm going to call a last-minute meeting with the department heads in production. We need to show them this is an urgent matter and we need change.
Okay, I will send out emails for the invites. I'm also working on the editorial for the month. That is an excellent way of creating a sense of urgency. We can also hang up charts in the break rooms showing how our numbers are down. That will grab everyone's attention.
Excellent ideas. Now I know why I promoted you. If that doesn't establish a sense of urgency for change, nothing will. Let's get to work.
Create a sense of urgency. Help others see the need for change through a bold, aspirational opportunity statement that communicates the importance of acting immediately.
Robert, you were one of the most charismatic people in the office. Will you help me get some people on board for getting this new packing process into place? Yes, I actually like the new process. I think some people were just frustrated with the lack of training and awareness. They had to keep production going, so they reverted back. I totally understand that and know why it happened. I have a plan to put into place. I just need some trusted change agents the personnel respect and like to get the ball rolling. Understood? And I won't disappoint you. I have a few other supervisors in mind to orchestrate a meeting and put your process into place. Great. Get back to me by close of business with some names and I'll schedule the meeting. I'll see you later.
Step 2. Build a powerful coalition. A volunteer army needs a coalition of effective people, born of its own ranks, to guide it, coordinate it, and communicate its activities.
Sir, I've been working on the process all day. I've come up with a vision and mission statement. I'll generate a strategic plan from the vision after a SWOT analysis.
Excellent. I give my approval to press on. I think the change is going to take this time. I just encourage you to keep up on the process.
Thank you, sir. Good night. I'll communicate the vision in tomorrow's meeting and ensure it makes it to the top of every training manual.
Great job. Good night.
We have step 3 and 4. Form a strategic vision and initiatives, and then enlist a volunteer army. Large-scale change can only occur when massive numbers of people rally around a common opportunity. They must be both in and urgent to drive change, moving in the same direction.
It looks like the higher-ups created a new policy and procedure on packing. There's a training class next week.
I read it in the newsletter and saw that production is down. Apparently, we tried this before but it didn't take. I guess now that we'll be rated on our performance with this new procedure, we better get it right this time around.
I hear that. Let's go to lunch. When we get back, we can look over the procedure's content and start putting it into play.
Step 5. Enable action by removing obstacles. Removing barriers such as inefficient processes and hierarchies provides the freedom necessary to work across silos and generate real impact.
Hi Suzanne, how has the data collection been for those illustrations?
We've been collecting the data ever since you put your new process into play. Our graphs will show the board members that there have been significant gains in the area of productivity.
Excellent. The short-term gains were met.
Not just met, exceeded. In fact, our revenue is up this fiscal year because of this increase in productivity.
Which means we achieved our strategic goals as well. Thank you so much. I'll encompass your graphs and reports in a presentation for the board members, and get the word out to the personnel that their efforts worked and have not gone unnoticed.
I'm glad I could help.
Step 6. Generate short-term wins. Wins are the molecules of results. They must be recognized, collected, and communicated early and often to track progress and energize volunteers to persist.
I want to welcome all of you to this meeting. First, I want to say that you, the production crew, are the backbone of this organization. Next, I want to announce that our productivity numbers are up. This could not happen without your hard work. I introduced a new process, which proved to be a challenge. But you all embraced the change and excelled in each of your respective areas. Because of this, we will close our fiscal year out with increased revenues. Next, we will be working on awards and a company party to celebrate the accomplishment. Thank you all for your hard work and adherence to the plan.
Step 7. Sustain acceleration. Press harder after the first success. Your increasing credibility can improve systems, structures, and policies. Be relentless with initiating change after change until the vision is a reality.
I called you into the office as a follow-up on your change management efforts. Your new process has resulted in monumental gains for this organization.
Thank you, sir, but I have to attribute much of the success to your process. Now that the procedures have been implemented into training, the performance feedback sessions, and the remaining cultural endeavors, it has become the way we do things now.
There are fundamental approaches to all aspects of management and leadership. Human productivity is a true science. Now you can pass it on to others in your mentoring of your subordinates, which is also a fundamental approach of management. See, it is a never-ending job.
Step 8. Institute change. Articulate the connections between the new behaviors and organizational success, making sure they continue until they become strong enough to replace old habits. Cotter's model is an easy step-by-step model which provides a clear description and guidance on the entire process of change, and it is easy for being implemented. But on the other hand, since it is a step-by-step model, skipping even a single step might result in serious problems. So, how will you get through change? Or, do you know how to make change? If yes, how will you do it, and who will do it?
Since the mid-2000s, organizational change management and transformation have become permanent features of the business landscape. Vast new markets and labor pools have opened up. Innovative technologies have put once powerful business models on the chopping block, and capital flows and investor demand have become less predictable. To meet these challenges, firms have become more sophisticated in the best practices of organizational change management. They are far more sensitive to and more keenly aware of the role that culture plays. They've also had to get much better on their follow-through. Change initiatives fail when senior leaders don't see that their organizations are social systems. Organizations are defined by bundles of local relationships, social expectations, and written rules that exist between thousands of people. These people create tribes, collections of like-minded people who build patterns around how work gets done. This system is highly resistant to change, as anyone who has ever tried to impose change on a system knows. The first reporter mentioned the Kotter's 8-step process for leading change. The 4th step focuses on enlisting people to perform and change. While described as a model for change management and change leadership, it is worth noticing that Kotter's 8 steps are tightly coupled with improvement initiatives. Humans gravitate towards routine. This means that change is a result of a conscious desire to improve on something or the need to adapt to changing surroundings. Enlisting people can now help communicate the strategy and initiatives to the wider organization. The goal is to communicate the plan and gain broad buy into the idea. Begin enlisting people to help put the changes into action. Many hands make light work. Cognitive reactions include what employees believe is about the change and how they evaluate it. During organizational change, employees interpret what is going to happen, how they are perceived, and what others are thinking or intending. The following are some common reactions of employees experiencing change. One of the most instinctual reactions to change is resistance. It's normal for employees to not want to try a new process or learn a new role. Human reactions to change in the workplace include fear for their job security. Organizational change can include downsizing or right-sizing. Employees going through this kind of organizational change are scared of losing their jobs. Oftentimes, employees who don't have all the details begin to create and spread rumors about what the future of the company looks like. They may hear segments of the change plan and fill in the details based on the information they have. While discussing these changes with colleagues, the facts may transform into rumors, which can then fuel additional anxiety and stress. When employees hear the organizational changes to come, they may have moments of doubt. Some may disagree with the direction of the company is going, while others may think the changes are detrimental to the work they have already done. Employees may lose faith in the company leadership during times of organizational change because they don't fully believe in the plan. Learning new work processes and systems or navigating a new area can make employees feel frustrated and tense. The addition of extra tasks or new elements they have to learn may feel like an inconvenience. This may mean they have to put in extra hours and work a few weekends all while trying to keep up with their regular workload. Depending on the employee's personality and experience within the company, they may be up for a new challenge and enthusiastic about what is to come. They may have gone through a previous organizational change with positive results for their career. In addition to negative and positive feelings towards organizational change, there may be some employees who are on a middle ground. While they may have some reservations for what is to come, they may also be willing to be open-minded about the new organizational structure. While stress can be a normal reaction to change in the workplace, it is important for employers to remember that many employees also welcome change. These employees know that while organizational changes can be scary, there can also have positive outcomes like promotions and new skills. In order to have more positive reactions from employees, communication is the key. And as a leader, do you have the courage to lead the change?
Change should not be something that happens to us, but a driving force that challenges us to be better. Great leaders understand that in order to remain relevant and competitive, they must foster a culture that embraces change. It requires making decisions and choosing a path that most often than not goes against the norm. But let's not forget to acknowledge that change is hard. Change means adapting, and adapting is usually hard work. People who have been doing things a certain way for a long time don't like to be suddenly told, you need to do your job differently. At its very worst, change is accompanied by uncertainty, fear, anxiety, inaction, and resistance. So dealing with change in your organization comes with many difficulties. Understanding what goes through people's minds when faced with change may help you as a leader when introducing change in your workplace. So here are 6 common reactions to change that can help you navigate change in your organization effectively. As a leader, acknowledge the feeling your employees have around the changes confronting their work. Create opportunities that make it safe for people to be successful on their own terms. Establish an environment where it's okay to make mistakes and where your team learns from and help each other. For most of us who work in a shared office environment, working remotely in this time of pandemic is a huge change. People will feel the loss of the old ways and they may long for the way things used to be. But allow them to adjust, then guide them towards positive acceptance of the new. There's a limit to how much change people can manage. So if it's within your control, try to manage change in small increments. Give people the opportunity to become successful at managing them will make them more confident and open as changes continue to occur. Some people thrive on change and find it exciting, while others are threatened by even the smallest change. Those who are more change ready can influence those who are less ready. Consistently check in to see how they are handling the changes. Be patient with the resistors, but let them know that their resistance will not impact the fact that change is there to stay. People might fear they aren't smart enough, computer savvy enough, or quick enough, but be sure to offer the necessary opportunity to practice, mentoring and support so they can take on the new task with greater confidence and less fear. If people perceive that you are not serious about doing things a new way, they will go back to the old way. It's human nature to go back to what we know best. So as a leader, you need to stay on top of where people are in managing change and giving them the tools to climb back on board. Leading change isn't easy, but if you understand the natural responses to change and are proactive about strategically managing those responses, it will create a solid structure of continuity on your journey towards achieving the common goal.
Are you ready to be a game changer? Whether you like it or not, we have to embrace change. The management of any change is widely varied and diverse in different forms of business. For managers attempting to help their organization through a major process that will affect employees, it is important for management to be visible in the office environment and measure their attitudes, beliefs, and values of their population. In this episode, I'm going to show you the impact of change management in employees' job performance and behavior. Don't go away!
An organization must always strive to adapt to change if it wants to be successful. There are different factors that are responsible for the changes occurring in the modern world and organizations. New technologies, globalization, complexity, and paradox. All of these influence the human side of change. Negative employee behavior is most often the root of resistance to change. There are numerous reasons that can cause an individual to resist change in an organization. Misunderstanding about the need for change, fear of the unknown, lack of competence, low trust, not being consulted, poor communication, changes to routines, exhaustion or saturation. Don't mistake compliance for acceptance. People who are overwhelmed by continuous change resign themselves to it and go along with the flow. You have them in body, but you do not have their hearts. Motivation is low. When the benefits and rewards for making the change are not seen as adequate for the trouble involved. And lastly, some employees just hate any type of change. Every so often, your employees' productivity will wane and they will pick up some bad habits. As a leader, you need to find effective ways to change their behavior. Jack Zenger and Joseph Fuckman of Leadership Development Consultancy in Harvard Business Review decided to find out how good leaders affect change. So they conducted a study of 2,852 employees and their 559 bosses. The results reveal the 6 most important methods leaders should adopt if they want to drive change in their employees' action. Inspire but do not nag. Nagging will work against you. Inspire your employees by working with them at an individual level to find out what their goals and aspirations are. Inspiring leaders understand the need of making an emotional connection with colleagues. They want to provoke a sense of desire rather than fear. Pinpoint problems. The second most effective behavior is the ability to recognize problems in your company's systems and in your employees so you can help drive positive change. Aim for a collective bullseye. Providing clear goals for the entire team will help you guide employees into positive behavior. Change initiatives work best when everyone's sight is fixed on the same goal. Kill sacred cows. Leaders who challenge the company's standard practices are successful at driving change. The forces that hold teams back from effective change are old practice and policies, even sacred cows. Leaders who excel at driving change will challenge even the rules that seem carved in the stone. Instill trust in your judgment. Good leaders recognize that asking others for advice is evidence of their confidence and strength, not a sign of weakness. If others do not trust your judgment, it will be difficult to get them to make the changes you want them to make. Be courageous. This may sound like something out of a self-help book, but courage and successful leadership go hand in hand. Everything you will do as a leader requires courage. How do changes in the organization affect employees' performance and behavior? A research study conducted in the southern United States by Kendra M. Turner in year 2017 analyzed the impact of a business process project involving employees in change management on the employee's job performance in a system implementation upgrade. The general problem in this study was that when handling organizational change, management usually decides how change will take place and what method will be used to incorporate the change without involving the employees. Emphasis in research was placed on change management and the effect on employee behavior. Guided by Cotter's research on change management models, the research questions examined the attitudes and behavior of the 11 employees involved in the business process project. Data were analyzed through pattern matching technique. The findings were that employees initially felt positive about being a part of the business process project. During the project, employees actually experienced the following: a lack of training, which was very important to a new process, no definitive assistance, and lack of communication for individual concerns. Management's increased job duties and responsibilities without increased income, and feeling unvalued in employee meetings. Turner's theory on employee involvement in change for a positive workplace has proved correct. The voice of the employee is very critical to the success of any change implementation or upgrade. The major component is communication before, during, and after the change. Training before, during, and after the change is another item to notate the need for employees. Moreover, yet the most important aspect of change is the show of concern on management for the employee in all phases of implementation. Turner was confident after this study that there is hope as change management in organizations and university continue to experience an ever-increasing surge of change within their establishments as new technology changes the way we do business.
Okay. Change management reviewed in the literature revealed the need to understand if negative behavior and disloyalty to a company can arise under conditions where employees are not involved in the process of change management. Change can be difficult. It causes existing employees' new behavior either contribute to the negativity or turn a negative situation into positive with winning results in the organization. In order to manage change, the company needs to offer communication, support, and participation. Was there a time when you are having a difficulty in dealing change?
Let me ask, how can we connect ourselves to people who needs to do change? Basically, change means the letting go of the old and encouraging something new to develop. Something will become something else. We do not end up where we started. The end result is very different or completely different from what we started with. In times of exchange in the workplace, how do we cultivate mutuality and coordination? Well, let's find out. Exchange. This relates to the social exchange theory. Social exchange theory is a social psychological perspective that explains social change and stability as a process of negotiated exchanges between parties. According to Casey Reeder, this theory is a model of human behavior that has been developed to explain the processes by which people make relationships and maintain them. In other words, people evaluate their relationships by analyzing the benefits they feel they might receive through them. They then make decisions about their relationships in their lives by comparing alternatives, especially when changes occur in the workplace. According to this theory, Ashley Crossman states that the formula of predicting the behavior of any individual in any situation is the behavior or profits equals the rewards of interaction less the costs of interaction. An example for this theory is when people trade their time and effort at work for valued outcomes. Piper is the newly transferred manager. She came from a different section but working on the same company where Jason and Leo are also working. Jason and Leo are the existing employees from the section Piper was transferred to, and they have to deal with a new manager. Of course, both have been used to working with their former leader and they have to adjust to the new ones. Piper, being new to the station but has already a background of her new co-workers, has given Jason and Leo the same task. Whoever can present the finished task on time and can impress Piper will be given a reward. Jason then started the task and worked hard to finish it on time. Leo, on the other hand, doesn't like their new manager and still does his job, but with a bit of distress. After the works were done, Piper realizes that Jason's work was more impressive than Leo. So then Jason received a reward from his hard work. Leo felt disappointed that he did not get the reward, as well as blaming himself for allowing his emotional state to take over his mind while doing his job. So, how can Leo cope up with his work to earn a reward? How can he be able to adjust to a person to work with? Let's continue. Piper then set a one-on-one meeting with her employees. She seemed a bit uncomfortable working with Leo since Leo likes their previous manager than the new ones. Simply, Piper did some explanation and Leo immediately understood the situation. Later on, Leo maintained a good relationship with their manager as well as Jason. Both men received rewards from Piper since great works were presented together by them. It is very important to be open-minded and communicate with your co-workers in terms of how you can deal with them through certain changes. Now, let's proceed with mutuality and coordination in terms of change in the workplace. Change in the workplace often creates chaos and division, but how can mutuality and coordination help in fostering a culture that embraces change? Mutuality and coordination are somehow connected. Mutuality is setting a common goal for the benefit of all, and this can be achieved through coordination. Piper, the manager, has two newly hired employees named Hazel and Selena. Along with Jason and Leo, she gave them an existing project that the former manager started and wants to come up on a certain plan that she thinks is more appropriate and useful for the company. But she did not exactly present the idea well on her subordinates. However, Jason and Leo disagreed with the idea but couldn't do anything about it. So, the four staffs struggled in achieving Piper's goal because communication did not go well between them. How are they going to meet with their manager's expectations? First, they must study and assess the existing project and come up with a new strategy on how to achieve their organizational objectives. According to Louis Allen, coordination comprises three principal elements or steps: the balancing, timing, and integrating. In balancing, efforts, jobs, and activities of all departments must be balanced. In other words, the entire work must be divided and assigned to each department evenly. Timing involves scheduling of operations in a suitable order. Time schedules for beginning and completing the jobs must be fixed well in advance, and efforts should be taken to complete them as per schedule. Integrating refers to the unification of all unrelated and diverse activities in such a manner as to accomplish the job efficiently. With these three elements or steps being followed by the employees and able to create good communication with themselves, they have accomplished the job and their manager was proud of the outcome. Effective performance management and high performance can be achieved where both managers and employees are accountable and have mutual ownership over the delivery of performance expectations. Coordination plays a huge role in the success of an organization. With different people and departments working towards a common goal, it offers many benefits to help keep the efforts synchronized and integrated. Also, communication is the most important tool to have a mutual and peaceful understanding in everything we do. According to Kalju Planck and Tor Enorth, our ability to communicate with others in conjunction with change is very often deciding factor in terms of whether the change is a success or not. It is through dialogue and understanding that you create an acceptance for the change, and it is through communication you can capture the apprehension and uncertainty that people facing change feel. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's always remember, communication should be present at all times.
Organization design is a process for shaping the way your organization operates to help you to pursue your strategies and meet your goals. It involves setting up structures and systems as well as helping people to adapt to new ways of working. Implementing an efficient organizational design leads to a more effective organization, a more focused workforce, and a workplace of better productivity by improving internal operations, interdepartmental relationships, working efficiency, all of which leads to better productivity and customer satisfaction. The STAR framework for organization design presented by Jay Galbraith falls into 5 categories: strategy, structure, processes, rewards, and people. Strategy influences how to make trade-offs between various organizational options. Structure determines the placement of power and authority in the organization. Processes cut across an organization's structure and help allocate scarce resources or enable effective workflow. Rewards align goals of employees and managers with organizational goals. Rewards must be congruent with structure and processes to implement strategy effectively. Human resource processes produce the talent that is required by the strategy and structure of the organization. An organization's design must be right for it to operate efficiently and effectively, and its structures and systems need to be aligned with its core strategies. There are many potential benefits to having a design that suits the business and its people and the environment in which it operates. For example, increased efficiency, faster and more effective decision-making, improved quality of goods and services, higher profits, better customer relations, safer working conditions, a happier, healthier, and more motivated workforce, greater preparedness for future challenges. However, if there are flaws in its design, an organization can suffer serious problems, including ineffective problem solving, wasted time, lack of coordination between different parts of the business, inconsistent quality of work, failures of legal compliance, reputational damage, low morale leading to high staff turnover, and below target business level results. Although adaptable to the size, complexity, and needs of any organization, the design process consists of the following steps. First, charter the design process. Second, assess the current state of the business. Third, design the new organization. And last, implement the design. When starting a small business, you might not give thought to choosing an organizational style that works best. You might end up with an improvised structure, or you may adopt a structure similar to those of companies you worked for. In practice, you have many organizational styles to choose from. There are 5 approaches to organizational design: the simple flat structure, matrix structure, team structure, functional structure, and divisional structure. A simple structure tends to be flat, meaning it doesn't have a lot of managers. This approach consists of a lot of employees and a single boss, or perhaps one level of managers. This works well for small businesses that operate in one location and depend on the owner for their direction. In a matrix structure, employees may report to more than one person. Lines of authority can go both up and sideways. While this structure offers lots of supervision, it can create conflicts between competing managers. A team structure divides employees into groups. These groups work on projects or come up with solutions to specific problems. Usually, the team leader reports to the management. The lines of accountability tend to run within the team of 4 individuals, while teams themselves may be accountable to other teams and management. If a company has self-contained departments that have many employees who require an overseeing manager or executive, a functional structure may work. For example, a company can be organized into the functions of human resources, accounting, manufacturing, sales, and production. Each of these departments has its own standards and procedures, and the manager of the department reports to the head company. A company that has divisions that operate autonomously may set these units up so that they operate like businesses within the business. Each has a manager who reports to the CEO, and the division sets its own procedures and standards, and even may have its own marketing department, shipping department, and other departments that exist elsewhere in the company. To be effective, the overall organization design must be aligned with the business operates. It must also have the right business controls, the right flexibility, the right incentives, the right people, and with the right resources.
Lugay ba ni Maureen? Uy,
Ambo, kasi to.
gutom na kayo.
Nakik-date siguro.
I'm so sorry!
Ay, salamat na yun.
Sorry, I'm so sorry na late kayo.
Nakik-date ka?
No! Nasabit ko report sa mong kuan sa office ba? Tapos, work from home. Yan na. Sa
Bakit duty?
Wala, work from home lang. Off-site. Nanay-nana. Sa inyo di ID? Off-site na pala sa
Oo, 5 days.
Oo,
Si
sa
Fatima.
ba?
5 days kami duty. Skeleton workforce pero nakat ang banking hours. Instead of 3 p.m., tama lang 12.
May man mo kay madala man ninyo inyo work sa home. Oy, kami kay
Dili ka po na madala, uy. Hello, dalo namang clients ako. Sa balay na ako.
Nandun yung kwarta rin sa
Buti ka bang hot?
Bukat mo.
Sa inyo, Diamond.
Sa ako bang god, mo duty gapon may pero 40 hours pero need gapon na mo render ng 40 hours per week. Pero 4 days na lang may muto nga. Pero
4-day work week.
kaya mo bata magmig sa'yo 7 a.m. tapos uli ka 6 p.m. Kapuyo di gapon kay.
Pero, napoy flexi time sa inyo ha, na pwede nag-7 to...
Dili, nga na gyud.
Wala
Kung
gyud
sa
flexi
imo
na
day off nga na po tapos fix gyud ang imo kuan in ug out.
Oo, gabi no. Pero nakabalita ba ya mo na katong gi-postpone ang atong kuan, katong klase ba? Katong klase bitaw. Kumusta
Tama
mo
ba?
sa office?
Wala ko yung balita kung i-postpone ang klase pero gi-postpone ang distribution sa modules kay di ba nagsaka naman ang atong case di sa Surigao City, so mao to dita sure kung kung mapadayon ba, pero sa ako na dungog mo ra ginasend na lang through emails ang mga modules, I don't know, di ko sigurado.
Kusog ba yun mo?
Kunso ta ni mahuman.
Oy, luoy kayo ta pagpadayon gihapon ni ga. Musa ka ta next year.
Wala ni matapos, guys.
Wala gyud.
Sa buhaton ani, embrace na lang gyud nato ang change.
Yeah, ano yun yung new normal.
Embrace na lang gyud nato ang change.
Yeah, tama.
Sa pa. Sa tuman.
Embrace na lang
Change.
Yeah.
Kana.